I was kind of humiliated and embarrassed, at the whole situation, because it seemed like it was a racial issue to me.
Clover Police Sergeant Tracy Reed had that experience at a Chick-fil-A restaurant in Augusta, Georgia, while on a work trip a few weeks ago. He and 3 other CPD officers, all of them white, went into the restaurant for breakfast.
We all came into the restaurant together, we rode together, came in the restaurant together, all had the same uniform on, stood in line together. There was never a time that we were not together while standing in line.
They say all 3 white officers were offered a complimentary meal, which they say is often offered to law enforcement at the popular restaurant chain. But when Sergeant Reed got to the register, he had to pay.
He said he had to pay for his meal, and it infuriated me. And I told him, I said, "Do you want me to go say something?" And he's like, "No, I don't want you to cause a scene." But I could tell by the way he looked that, he just looked down at his plate and he looked really embarrassed and humiliated, which really made me mad.
Eventually, Reed wrote this letter to Chick-fil-A corporate demanding the chain retrain employees at the Augusta location and strengthen corporate-wide policies on compliance with civil rights laws. But Reed and the other officers were not satisfied with the response from the Augusta store manager, which included 2 cards for free meals.
They said that it was perceived that we were embarrassed or that it was a racial incident, which I didn't like, because I know it wasn't perceived. It actually happened.
He's not the only one to perceive it. We all perceived it that way, and it's not even perception, it's what happened. It was a racial issue.
I mean, guys, watching that video, I believe it caught me off guard, because imagine the horror of thinking, maybe your badge or your title will accord you a certain type of respect, but then you get the harsh reality that no matter what badge you hold, no matter what uniform you wear, you are seen a certain way to these people. You are treated a certain way, and it continues and continues. But I'm glad that he stood up for himself and talked about it. Now, this whole video is going to be showing officers who are black and their perceptions or their experiences. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
When I worked at Chick-fil-A, I would racially profile people. Please let me cook for once. I promise this is not derogatory. Everything I am about to share is merely an observation. It's not me perpetuating a stereotype or making a generalization about any kind of race or ethnicity. I'm simply presenting an experience that I have had. Take it or leave it. So what I noticed is that certain demographics have a very specific kind of order. For instance, Hispanic people would usually come in and get a spicy deluxe with lemonade and buffalo sauce. Those 3 items were ordered together specifically by Hispanic people all the time. And again, not every time, but that combination, 95% of the time, if it was ordered, was by a Hispanic person. And in hindsight, it makes sense because Hispanic cuisine is typically on the spicier end, so it makes sense that they would prefer spicier food. Again, not all Hispanic people, but enough to notice a trend. So sometimes if I'm taking orders in the drive-thru, right, and I see a Hispanic customer in my line, I'll go ahead and put in a spicy deluxe with lemonade and buffalo sauce in there. And sometimes I was wrong, but it was a little satisfying when they would roll up and I'd say, "Hey, what can I get for you?" And they tell me that exact order that I've already put in there, and I say, "Great, what else for you?" And then I get their payment and go about their day. But sometimes I was wrong, but a lot of times I wasn't. Before I share this next anecdote, allow me to look inward for a moment. White people, when we go to Mexican restaurants, disproportionately, what do we order? ACP. Why? Because it's the blandest thing on the menu. Is it good as hell? Yes. But I understand that white people, we don't have good food culture unless you're in the South, and country cooking is a different thing. Back to Chick-fil-A. What I noticed among black customers is they would pick Polynesian sauce disproportionately over any other one, and hyper-specific drink order. It was either blue Powerade with no ice or High C with no ice. And that is the most interesting part about all of this to me, because I can sense the link between Hispanics ordering spicier food, but I don't sense the link between black people ordering a fruit drink with no ice. And so that's the part, maybe there's no correlation at all. I just want to see if there is one. That's from an anthropological perspective, this interests me so much. So please, this is out of curiosity. I just think it's fun to think about and hypothesize why it might be the case. So if there are any black Chick-fil-A customers out there, or just black people in general, who may be able to shed some light on what that is, or why that is, or if that is, I'd appreciate it. Again, last time I'll say this just because I don't want to get canceled. I'm so fascinated by this topic, and I'm not trying to make any kind of stereotype or try to like belittle any race or anything because of the food they choose or the drink they choose. Okay, that's all I have to share.
Ladies and gentlemen, see, this is the thing I be talking about right here. So it was a Chick-fil-A in Augusta. 4 police officers walking to a Chick-fil-A in Augusta. Now, one of the employees over there, who happened to be, you know, somebody who had not a lot of melanin in their skin. The 3 other non-melanated police officers, she said, y'all meal is free. It's a complimentary meal for first responders and police officers and whatnot. Okay. Now, the other officer, who happened to be a human being with a lot of melanin in their skin, she said, no, you got to pay for yours. Now, the other ones over there, 1, 2, and 3, without melanin, theirs is free. But since you a police officer with the melanin, you got to pay for yours. And that ain't even the cool part about the story. The cool part about the story is the police officers without the melanin went the hell off and said that ain't right. You gonna make him pay, but you didn't make us pay? And they went off on the lady and the manager. And the manager said, well, we're sorry if this, if this, if you perceive this to be a racial issue. And he said, no, this ain't what I perceive to what it is. This is exactly what happened. And I will say this, that's how you know who with you and who ain't with you. It ain't even about color. You know what I'm saying? I would just say, if you are a black person and you have friends that are not black, especially white ones, and you are on the receiving end of discrimination or racism or prejudice, and the people that are with you that are white step up and say, oh no, that is wrong and we are not going to tolerate that, that is very much appreciated. Shout out to them. And shame on that Chick-fil-A employee. Anyway, my stand-up special, anybody want to tell me, it's on Tubi right now. And I'm on tour. Go to sugarking.com and get them tickets.
Profile people. Please let me cook for once. I promise this is not derogatory. Everything I am about to share.
The way that man did everything that he said he wouldn't do in that video, it need to be studied, okay? Do I think he meant any harm? No, but however, I feel like there's some shadiness to it because we know anytime you talk about race on here, it garners views, especially when it comes to black people. So he want to know why black people order Polynesian sauce and this particular fruit drink with no ice. He needs to know. Like, he said it interests him so much. And I couldn't wait for the black people in the comments to just give up the secret sauce. That's why everybody think we don't have no culture, because y'all quick to tell everybody our business. Y'all need to learn to gatekeep. Now, he talked about Hispanics, but he didn't talk about, like Asians or Indians. And I see them there all the time. But why was your focus so much on black folks? Like, I can't figure this piece out because I need to know everything about y'all. This is why they think they obligated to our business, because y'all tell them everything.
And remember, blue lives only matter if the cop is in black, because Chick-fil-A has not said anything. In fact, they offered this cop free meal. 2 free meals, because they were like, if you really wanted a free meal that bad, you should have just said that. You should have just said you wanted a free meal. 3 cops from Clover City go to an Augusta, Georgia Chick-fil-A on Robert C. Daniel. This is very close to me. I live outside of Augusta. And they go in there, the 2 white cops order from the cashier, right? Order from the cashier. As soon as the black cop walks up to order, the shift leader steps in and tells the cashier to move. He takes the black cop's order and then charges the black cop. Charges him for the full meal. The white cops are like, even he's like,
And they were like, you want us to say something? We really don't want you to say nothing because you're black, and we don't want it to be a big to-do and just come off as it being just, you know, the black card being pulled. And he was like, no, it's still going to come off that way. I really don't want you guys to say nothing because obvious reasons. You know what I'm saying? The white cops did an interview for the news, the local news station here. And they even said there was nothing to it but racism. It was strictly racism. Like, they sat there, they saw it, the interaction was awkward, and they were like, it was pure racism. So if you all want to call them on tomorrow, it's Chick-fil-A, Robert C. Daniel. They only offered him a coupon for free meals because they were like, I mean, if you just wanted a free meal, you should have just said you wanted a free meal. As if he was being extra. But yeah, that's what happened. And Chick-fil-A hasn't said anything about it. A black cop that's serving the community. He's serving the community, and they won't even give him anything for free. They won't even give him a free meal just like they gave the white cops. Like I said, blue lives only matter if you're not black. That's when they matter.
What's up, everyone? It's Robert Smith. A black police officer calls out Chick-fil-A for racial bias after they offered free meals for 3 white officers but forced him to pay for his meal. How are you guys feeling about this situation? Let me know in the comments. It could have been racial bias, or maybe it was just they can only offer 3 free meals, and he happened to be the 4th person, and he's a black man, and he had to pay. We have to look at it from both angles. But do you think this was purposely done, or it was an honest mistake? Let me know in the comments, because people is going back and forth about the situation, and we have to respect the way he feel, and we have to respect the way Chick-fil-A feels about the situation, because this is a bad look on Chick-fil-A, because these are serious allegations. Let me know in the comments, like, share, subscribe, and follow me for more videos. And leave your suggestions and your comments, and let me know how you're feeling about the situation.
Chick-fil-A in Augusta, Georgia, we the people need some answers. For real. So, 4 police officers went into Chick-fil-A. One of them was black. The Chick-fil-A gave the white officers a complimentary meal. When it came down to the black officer, they told him he had to pay. That man said he was embarrassed. He said a fellow officer, one of the other officers, white officers, asked him, do he want him to go up there and say something like, that's racism? And he was like, no, it's cool, or whatever like that. That's sad. In Chick-fil-A, most fast food restaurants give officers complimentary breakfast. But this was sad. Just because of the color of his skin, he was refused a free meal. And he out there serving and protecting this country, that city, that state. Chick-fil-A, we need answers. We really do need answers.
We all knew that Chick-fil-A has problems with pride and the community. What I didn't know was how visual they were about race. At some point earlier this month, 4 law enforcement officers from South Carolina went into a Chick-fil-A in Augusta, Georgia on a work trip. The 4 law enforcement officers were in line together. 3 of those officers, white officers, got their meal comped by the company. Apparently, occasionally, they will comp law enforcement meals as a sign of appreciation and respect for backing the blue. But the sole black officer was not extended the free meal. He had to pay for it. But it sure makes you question, right? The white officers getting their meal comped, but the black officer had to pay for it. Chick-fil-A corporate apparently apologized to the officer, but you can't tell me this was just a misunderstanding. Chick-fil-A employees knew what they were doing, and they ought to be fired for their disgusting behavior.
All right, guys, we've come to the end of this episode. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Do I have any police officers who watch me? Like, are you a police officer and you're watching this right now? Tell me in the comment section. And yeah, guys, tell me what you think. Has this happened to you? Have you held a certain position and a certain badge and have come across something that really shocked you and really made you take a step back and realize it's a sad world that we live in? Let me know in the comment section. But as you do that, we've come to the end of this episode. Follow me on all my socials at Jenny Tamaya. Do all the nice things. See you next time.